It is the About Mansfield Economic Spotlight. What do we do here? I'll tell you what we do here. We feature businesses, both big and small, of those who have or are making an economic impact on the city of Mansfield. And one of those businesses is right here in Mansfield. It's along the 287 Service Road, and you can't miss it if you're driving up and down the highway. It is called ER of Texas, or we'll just shorten that up to ERTX. And with us via Zoom, let's welcome April Davis. Welcome to the Economic Spotlight.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
How long has the ERTX, how long has that been at its current location on 287?
It's been under a couple of different management names, but the building has been operational since 2015.
And what makes ERTX Medical Center? Is it a doctor's office? Is it an urgent care? Is it an emergency room? Tell the listeners exactly what y'all do there.
That's probably the number one question we get in the community. They see that we're open 24/7, but they think it's an urgent care. But then it says ambulance on it, and it says medical center, so they say a doctor's office. It's actually a micro hospital. The best way I can describe it is it's a one-story version of the Baylor, sort of next door. Same level of care that you would get at Baylor, you were going to get at us. It is a 24-hour emergency room, so we do pretty much anything you can think of that would be an emergency that you would drive yourself to the ER for. If you're going in an ambulance, you're not coming to us. But if you drove yourself to the ER, you can come to us.
So typically, this is not the place. If I have a sore throat, this is not the place that I would go to.
I mean, if you want to call that an emergency, you are more than welcome to call that an emergency. Like I said, if it's 3 a.m. and you're that sick, that's an emergency. We're not here to say, don't come to us for those things. We just always get into the qualm of that they need to understand you are coming to an emergency room. So it is billed as an emergency room. So your copay is that of an emergency room. Gotcha. So you make your own financial decisions that way. And
so why should people come to your emergency room instead of going to a traditional ER?
Quality. They have quality service also, but they do quantity. And we don't have wait times. I think it takes on average maybe 10 minutes from the time you walk in the door to the time you see your physician. And they are not seeing patients at such a pace that you don't get a lot of face time. 75% of the time that you see a staff member, it's face-to-face with your doctor. And that's very important for people that have very complex things happening to them.
What types of medical services and treatments? You are what's known as a freestanding emergency room versus going to a hospital. Medical services, treatments, what can you provide as a freestanding emergency room? And how does that level of care compare to, say, a hospital ER?
Sure. That's a great question.
That's why I'm the host.
For ours, we consider things minor emergencies is what we treat. So that's stitches, broken bones, minor heart attacks, maybe strokes that make you not need medical intervention, full-blown medical intervention. We don't do surgery, but we do treat you. So you go to an urgent care, typically, you're sick, they write you a prescription, you go pick it up. In our facility, you come to us, you're sick, we treat you, medicate you. We have IV fluids. We have a laboratory. So we can run any diagnostic and lab value you need. We have full body x-ray, ultrasound, echo. We can do CT scans. Pretty much anything you would get in a traditional ER, minus the ability to admit you and keep you beyond 1 day. So anything you would have went to an ER and you went home within 24 hours, you can come to us for that need.
I'm going to give you a tough question here.
Sure.
There have been several freestanding ERs in Mansfield. Some still exist. Some don't exist. What do you attribute the success of ERTX in Mansfield?
I think it's not necessarily location, because there was an additional one. I think it's an action behavior center now, so that looks a little bit more traditionally like a freestanding.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just that there's a need. We may not need, where there was a time when we had too many, but we've got an additional resource, which is another hospital has come to Mansfield.
Yeah.
And so we are unburdening some of the extensive need. I mean, Mansfield is growing so rapidly. These are our partners. We are friends. We are not in competition with either major hospital system. These are friends of ours. We send them patients daily. We adore them. They're wonderful hospitals. We need them. So we are part of the system of unburdening, though, some of the more minor things that clog up their ERs. It's the reason they were granted. Texas is only one of a handful of states in the country that are allowed to do business the way that we do. And so with that in the past has come maybe not as much regulation as some of the major hospitals. But, and a lot of those sort of commercials came out of you or your loved one went to one of,
Sure.
But Texas is a wonderful state, and it's the only state we've ever operated in. So therefore, we have followed all the trends and regulations for the state of Texas, and we have fantastic people in our government that have helped regulate healthcare, even in the freestanding environments, which no commercial comes out and says, oh, by the way, all of those lawsuits came back and we fixed it all.
Yeah, that's true. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to that 3 a.m. emergency. And now I have a decision to make because I have options.
Right.
What are some of the factors that an individual should consider when deciding to seek emergency care from a freestanding ER versus the traditional? So again, okay, it's 3 a.m. I could go to the big box hospital, or I could go to a freestanding ER. And again, some of the factors that someone should consider before really even starting the car.
I tell people it really comes down to an education piece too on when you should be calling 911. Versus taking yourself to a hospital. If you're asking yourself, am I safe to drive myself? You should not come to us. We will most likely have to transport you to one of these other hospitals because what's happening to you is probably a lot more life-threatening and may need to be admitted for more than one day, right?
Yeah.
If you're getting in the car and you think you're well enough, you have something that's emergent, but you can drive yourself, you should come to us. We will treat you and diagnose you, like I said, starting within 10 minutes. And we can help you to understand what's really happening to you and stabilize you far quicker.
And again, the difference between an ER, a freestanding ER, and an urgent care when it comes to insurance billing. That,
Sure.
Yeah, if you can touch on that one more time, and then we'll get into contact information.
Sure. So urgent cares are billed in their own category. They are the same thing as your primary care doctors, except for you don't have to wait 3 days to see them. You can see them right now. Okay. They are not able to really treat you in a patient room, meaning typically they don't give you medications, things of that nature. So they are an urgent care. Emergency rooms, traditional hospital emergency rooms, and a freestanding or a micro hospital like us, there is no difference in billing. In the state of Texas, we got passed legislation in 2022 that allows no matter what emergency room you go to, whether it be traditional, in-network, out-of-network, those Q terms, all emergency healthcare is billed at in-network rates, and there is zero differentiation between any of them in Texas.
April Davis, how can people find ER of Texas or ERTX? And if you want to give a website, if you want to give a phone number, email, or how can they get more information about your medical center?
We have our website, which is www.eroftexas.com. We also have Facebook, which is ERTX Medical Center Mansfield, where you get to see, tons tons of community outreach. We love being partners with our community, and just sort of all the different things and ideas on how you can connect with us are definitely there. But you can also stop by. I mean, our staff loves to talk to the community. Even if you don't have a healthcare need and you're just curious and want a tour, we'll show you. We'll teach you. That's what we're here for. And we are open 24/7. And we are at 1710 US Highway 287. It is right next to the Cotton Patch. And everybody in Mansfield knows where that is.
Everybody knows where Cotton Patch is.
Absolutely. So we tell people we're on 287 in Debbie, and they go, where? Right next to Cotton Patch. Oh, that's right.
All right. Well, April, I hope I never need your services, but I'm glad you're there in the event that I do.
Exactly. That's exactly what we're.
And thank you, and thank you and your staff and everyone there. Thank you for creating and making an economic impact on the city of Mansfield.
Absolutely.
That is, my friends, is a 10-minute nugget of information in regards to the About Mansfield Economic Spotlight. We want to thank our folks over at Mansfield Economic Development Corporation. They are the sponsor of these 10-minute nuggets of information. And, there was one thing I also wanted to mention, that ERTX is also very active in the community, and I'm trying to remember why you were raising water, but cases of water somehow wound up at your office. And
yeah. And thank you again for participating. We were did a water drive for Mansfield PD and Fire. They get a lot of resources. However, a lot of them like to keep them even in their personal vehicles. When they stop by, they see people on the streets who need them, not just for the officers and the first responders themselves, but they also hand them out in large quantities to the community. So they're always needing resources and donations to make that happen. So we just wanted to kind of unburden some of that during the summer heat moments.
That's right. Okay, thanks for reminding me. April, thanks for being on About Mansfield.
Thank you for having me.